Welcome to the Cricket Betting Podcast. I'm Ed Hawkins. This is the only podcast which tells you exactly what happens in the biggest cricket matches around the world, and we win you money. Our best bets section normally come at the end of the show. A word on that in a second. But we won you 40 plus points in 2025, and we're already returning big numbers in 2026. So stay tuned. We're brought to you by 7bet.co.uk. A fresh sports betting brand that offers such features as early payout, bet builder, ACCA boost, betting insights, and more. Go to 7bet.co.uk and experience world-class betting for yourself. Let's check in with some of the masters of those best bets. Paul Krishnamurty is plus 9.9 already this year. How are you doing, Paul?
Yeah, okay, Ed.
Good. Richard Mann of sportinglife.com. Also up for the year, plus 10.06, a 7-2 winner from last week's show. Hello, Richard.
Yeah, evening, Ed. We've all been eating at the Darrell Mitchell gravy train, haven't we, for the last few weeks? More on him later, but yeah, he's been very helpful for the last couple of games.
Yes, indeed. We've had a good week since we were last here. We'll get to that. What is on the show? We've got some really big games, some really good games, actually. Strong angles in some of these matches. It's 3 is the magic number. It's India versus New Zealand, the first T20, Sri Lanka versus England in the first ODI towards the end of the week. And we're also looking at BBL knockout, Hobart Hurricanes versus the Melbourne Stars. We've got a team news, pitch report strategies, the player win rates. There's a 38% top bat in there, a 40% top bat win rate in there, 50% on top bowler, big numbers on other bowlers as well. So stay on for those. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our VIP Telegram service. We are plus, plus, plus. That's in the comments section below. And as I mentioned, our best bets normally come at the end of the show because we're still waiting on some lazy bookmakers this week. No best bets at the end of the show, so they are going to be on the Telegram service. Now, we do have a free Telegram service, so they will be posted on there as well. You can sub up to that in the comments section below. And also, if you are subbing up to those services, the free service, we do put bets up on there for games as we see them. The VIP bets for every live game straight to your device as they happen. And that's from all three of us working really hard. And as I said, we are making money for you. Let's start. In the Big Bash, it's Perth versus Sixers as we go into the production for this podcast. So it's Hobart Hurricanes versus Stars for us. The focus, 08:30 on Wednesday, Bellerive Oval, Hobart 8-11, Hills, Betfred, Boyles, Quinbet, Stars 5-4, AK Bets. Let's go. Possible 11s for you. Starting with the home team, Ward, Owen, Webster, McDermott, Chowdhury, Mac Wright coming in, we think, for Rahan Ahmed, Wade, Jordan Ellis, Rishad, and Meredith Stars, Rogers, Harper, Clark, Kellaway, Stoinis, Cartwright, Maxwell, Tom Curran, Swepson, Ralph, and Siddle. Richard, very much appreciate any team news or views on what's happening with those lineups. But the big question is, what on earth are Hobart doing in the knockout?
Incredible. I mean, how they lost that game against Brisbane Heat was his unbelievable finish, really. I cut them a bit of slack. I mean, I don't think the pitch was as good as it has been at Hobart this season. Low bounce and Brisbane bowled well. And that's just a Big Bash all over. Look, I've still got loads of faith in this team. I still think they're very good, very well balanced, great bowling attack, destructive batting lineup. And the Stars, I've been really poor brilliant start to the season, but I've really gone downhill. Got a number of players out of form, so I think Hobart will be okay.
Yeah, Paul, let's get your views. I mean, I'm quite strong on Hobart here. Stars lost 4 of their last 6. Richard mentioned that very fast start, and they are a chasing team. Now, all 4 losses this season have come when they've had to defend, and Bellerive is a chasing ground. It's 57% bias for the chase the last 30. So there's a clear angle here, clear strategy on the flip. Average first innings score 167, 11.5 average sixes. Any pitch angles and views on that angle on taking on Stars if the flip goes our way, Paul?
Well, the only problem is that if Hobart are chasing after the toss, they're going to be very short, aren't they? I mean, I completely agree with both of you. They're the better side. Don't think there's really any that can really be argued. Especially, they've been a better side all season, and they've got Webster back, whereas Stars haven't got anyone who's to improve their lineup. Um, but the chaser angle's so big, it would one put me off a bet pre-match, pre-toss, and secondly, I think if Hobart are chasing, it's they're going to be really short. I guess the best thing you can hope for really is that if Stars bat first and put a decent total up, 170 plus, then you might get a block price. One thing about the pitch though, Rich, in that last game against Heat, you said it was worse. Was that a used pitch? Do you know?
I'm not too sure actually. I mean, people can laugh at the bash, but I think they're having the players mic'd up is brilliant. And Marnus Labuschagne was bowling, they brought him on, and the comms were having a bit of a giggle and a laugh. But then they spoke to him between overs, and he said, "There's no bounce in this pitch, and I'm just bowling round arm leg spin into the wicket, and I'm hoping that basically someone tries to get under one for hit me for six, but they just can't because of the low bounce." And sure enough, they got a wicket, and then obviously Hobart imploded. Zaman bowled brilliantly at the death, but it didn't bounce as much as we've seen. I'm not too sure about this pitch. I know we're going off kilter a bit here because it was brilliant early season, but the last couple of games, it's just not been quite as good. So that's another interesting thing to consider because it was brilliant early season here.
All right, Rich. I mean, you've probably just answered that question, but I was going to ask you who wins the match. But if you've got other angles,
Yeah, look, I do think Hobart are the superior team. I agree with Paul about chasing a big score. I would like to see the pitch though, but I mean, you'll obviously get a good look at it what your first innings. I think all things being equal, Hobart can chase just about anything. I think it's a brilliant batting lineup. 220 wouldn't worry me if conditions were right. I think, look, if you can play a performance, the gravy train about Stoinis is finished now. It seems we can't get a price at the moment, but he's cleared 50 player performance points, 9 out of 10 games. He's had an incredible series as Stoinis, 14 wickets, averaging 60 odd with a bat. But two men who haven't, well, Maxwell's averaging 13 and Cartwright's having a poor season as well. He's only striking at 1-2-1. We're so used to Cartwright flying along. I'd be sellers of those two actually. Whenever they come to the crease. I mean, Maxwell just looks awful, to be honest.
yeah, Maxwell runs. I've seen quotes 20.5
Crikey, right. Okay.
around and about throughout the tournament, and unders has won 6 out of the 7 that he's got to the crease. And we've talked about Mark Maxwell on this show before because he's a very honest chap, and he's basically said, once I get in a rut, I just don't know how to get out of it. And the only way he gets out of it is a break between tournaments. Once he gets on a bad run, he seems done for, and he's on an absolute stinker again. Cartwright, I had a note on Cartwright, 18's Hill's top bat, but I take your point. He is normally due a win a season
He's
and a late season as well.
been so
10%
consistent
win rate.
over the years. He's been brilliant, hasn't he?
Yeah, but not striking it that well. We've gone to play our angles quite early, but we'll come back to the second. I just want to go to Paul. One other thing, Paul, that might happen in the match or does happen in
Well,
the match, please.
yeah, I am a bit on the fence here because over 12.56 is his 4 to 5 with Bet365. That's won 6 out of 7 games at Hobart. And if it is the pitch we were used to, that would be a solid overs bet. But as Rich said, it's changed. The last couple of games, it's been a bit slower, and maybe, unlike some other Aussie grounds, this one is going in the conventional tradition of the pitch slowing up as the season goes on. So it's a bit of a wait and see. And the same thing really goes for the scoring in that, just on the stats, I'd be looking at both to score 170 at 17 to 10, both to score 180 at 100 to 30. But there's just a little bit of a doubt. And I think I really want to see how it's playing before doing anything.
Rich, one more thing that does happen in the game.
Uh, No, I'm probably done with that really. I'm the same with Paul. I don't think with the runs and the sixes and stuff you can get involved yet. But look, you've got loads of time once it starts. If that pitch looks good first innings, I think second innings you can really make your mark. It was a brilliant ground early season for runs. So hopefully we can revert to type.
We've done Cartwright and Maxwell player angles. Let's look at some other numbers. Nathan Ellis, 3-1 top Hobart bowler. It's a win rate bet, Star, Virgin Bet, MGM, Flutter Firms, Sky Bet, Power, Betfair, Sportsbook, of course. Ralph, 6 out of 10 in this bash, 2 wickets or more. You can get 6-4, 365. And if you're not with 365, you can try Betway at 7-5. Rich, who do you like or not?
Well, I'm hoping we get some Steiner's player performance, but I'm not sure we will. Steiner's top Melbourne Stars bowler, 11-2. He's quite interesting. He's 14 wickets this season. He's won twice, and then he got 2 for spit against the Renegades as well when Tom Curran had won it with an early burst. He's bowling lots of over Steiners this season and key ones too. He's bowling in the surge and I think he bowled the last over against the Renegades. So 11-2 is way out. I mean, Harris Ralph has been brilliant, but again, he's not 11-2. I thought Stoinis was a sporting bet here.
Oh,
Got to be Bo Webster. Really think there's a class thing goes on in Big Bash when these international players come back. They're well better. You can get on his runs over 19.5 with 7-bet and Hills, 51 on his comeback game. So that looks very short. It's as high as 23.5 elsewhere, so that looks a real angle. And also 7-2 to get 50. I think that's a fair price. And on top Hobart bowler, I think 7-2 Rishad Hussain would pay dividends over the long term for sure.
yes, I'm sure he would. And Bo Webster batting at 3, don't forget. I do think firms have been a little bit slow to catch up. 19.5 runs for number 3 seems very cheap, as Paul says. There we go. Sri Lanka versus England still to come. Time to tell you about the 0% margin feature at 7Bet Sportsbook. It's designed to offer the best betting odds that do not include the typical margin added by the bookmaker. Check out more of their features on 7bet.co.uk/features. As I said, Sri Lanka, England still to come. Let's look at India versus New Zealand and find the angles for that one. That's also on Wednesday. Wednesday lunchtime, 13:30. Nagpur, India 2-5 with Hills, 9-4 Kiwis, Labrooks, Coral, Sky Bet, possible 11s for you. India, Abhishek, and Samson, we think, opening batting. Shreyas coming into the middle order to add some ballast. Rinku, who's been in and about the squads, but there's no Tilak Varma, so this is Rinku's opportunity. Hardik Pandya, Axar, Kuldeep, Varan, Bumrah, Arshdeep, the Kiwis, Conway, Robinson, Ravindra Chapman, Mitchell, Phillips, Bracewell, Santner, who comes into the T20 team, wasn't involved in ODI, Jameson, and then 2 big boys with the ball, Duffy and Henry. Major boost for them coming back. Richard, give me some thoughts on those lineups. That's what we think they'll do. If you think I'm wrong, do shout. And we've got to talk about India and their form across all formats and how Gautam Gambhir is still in a job. They've just lost to a reserve Kiwi ODI team at home. Richard, what's going on?
Yes, that's a really good point. They're just a little bit overrated right now across all formats, aren't they? I mean, they lost a Test series to South Africa, didn't they, before that as well, and obviously drew in England, and that doesn't look so flash now as well. So yeah, look, I don't know how we're still in a job. They're not the force that they were, but I must admit, you see someone like Rinku Singh coming in who hasn't been able to get a game, and boy, they've got some depth out, haven't they? But New Zealand, we said about the one day series just gone. Oh, the weekend, they're missing Henry, a couple of those big names, but God, that looks a strong 11 on paper as well, the New Zealand one, doesn't it? I mean, lots of cricket going on this week, but this is the head of the World Cup. This is a really interesting series, isn't it? A proper matchup.
Yeah, India 13-8 to win that T20 World Cup, which would, of course, have been previewed in full on the Cricket Betting podcast when we get there. India have Jetson Gill, the former Suryakama Yadav has dropped off the cliff consistently now over the last 2 years. Paul, what do you make of India at the moment?
Well, they don't seem like 13-8 favourites to win the World Cup, that's for sure. They're still definitely the team to beat. And the one thing that does always come back to me with India is just how much strength and depth they've got. I mean, a lot of their games, they're not coming. Bumrah's not playing all their games. Barron's not playing all their games. So I think that come the World Cup, they'll probably be there or thereabouts. But it's quite easy to take that lineup on, isn't it? I mean, you've actually just blown one of my core betting strategies of the week here by telling me that Tilak Varma isn't playing. Because the lines about him look fantastic value. Yeah, but without him, that's a very vulnerable batting lineup. And look, I mean, have we just not had the biggest lesson ever about New Zealand? We always say it. They're always overpriced, always underrated, and they've just pulled off an amazing victory. And this is a much stronger team than they had out in the ODIs. So I think they're probably the value.
Concur, Rich, you betting the Kiwis for this one? I've got ground data to come, but just give me some views on match odds as they stand.
Yeah, I mean, Paul summed it up nicely about the team. I mean, God, the Kiwis middle order looks really good, especially with Phillips back in form as well. I've missed so much with injury. What, the 9-4 now? Is it fair to say that come match time, you might be looking at more like 5-2 on the exchange as well, the Kiwis? Just given the India bias, I just think that they'll be really competitive. And I think in a 2-horse race, if you can back a 5-2 shot that you know is going to be highly competitive, I think you're on the right line. So yeah, the answer would be yes.
Well, we can marry that Kiwi fancy with a bit of a toss bias actually at Nagpur under lights. 16 T20, 11-1 by the team batting first. There's 7.4 runs per over in those 16 games. 5 of the 6 have gone under 150 in the first innings, but there's only one T20 since 2020. Paul, pitch angles, strategies from the surface.
Well, there's literally no fully completed match in my usual 5-year study sample, so it is a bit of guesswork. But the history says it's low scoring, right? Really low scoring. So, firstly, that is another reason to back New Zealand, because I wouldn't fancy them in a 250 place 250 ground. This could be more like a 150 place 150. In addition to that, I mean, I think it's pretty brave for bookies to put anything up on things like sixes, but 14.5 sixes looks pretty high. You don't normally say that in India, but judging by the history of it, that seems quite high. Again, it might be a case of another wait and see, unfortunately. I know people want to hear, we want to put things up before the game, but there is a lot of guesswork here. And I just wonder, will the market just revert to average and say it's India at home, par is 175, 180. That's happened so many times in the past. And we might see a pitch report that say, oh, it's a bit slow, it's a bit low, it's going to turn. And we can get under 160 at 3-4-1, something like that. That might be the play.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about that Kiwi side, about players who will just take pace off. Bracewell, Santner, obviously, but Phillips will take pace off. They may even ask Mitchell, Chapman, Ravindra to do the same. They could just bowl pace off the whole lot if they wanted to. Obviously, they won't do that, but Duffy, Henry, maybe one might miss out on full stint of old Jameson potentially not bowling his full quota. Just bear that in mind. One thing that happens, Richard.
Right, quite like Hardik Pandya, more sixes for India here. So to get with the middle order, you need a couple of things to happen. You need it to be a competitive match, so the middle order you would think is involved. I think we all agree that we should get that. And I think you want it to be tough for the openers. Abhishek is taking it's 21-10 for this. But up against Henry and Duffy, who I've been really impressed with, Abhishek could be vulnerable. It's quite like the middle order here. Pandya's 5-1. Hit 5 and 4. In 2 games of his last 3 appearances, he gives it a real whack, Pandya. I thought 5-1 most sixes, Hardik Pandya was a bit of value here.
Paul, one thing that happens?
I was going to say India under the par line.
Fair enough. As you said, market may revert to the India bias 175, 180 potentially. On the exchanges, we'll check all those runs, quotes, etc. on the Telegram channels. Remember that the best bets for this show are going to be posted on those Telegram channels, which you can subscribe to in the comments section below. I promised big win rates on player markets at the top of the show. Here are some of them. Abhishek 38% from 21 games, 7-2 with the Flutter firms. But as Richard stated, you might prefer to be on him on something more road-like than this. Kuldeep has 50% win rate from 10 games, 7-2 bet MGM Virgin bet. Varun Chakravarti, his spin twin, 20 games, 25% 3-1 Flutter on bet MGM Virgin. For the Kiwis, Conway's won 4 from 10, so you get 7-2 with Spread X and Sporting. And the big matchup, do we go with Duffy or Henry? Well, Duffy's been dominating, 6 wins from 19, 31%. Some of those come without Henry in the team, though. Henry is 72 on Flutter, Betfair Sportsbook Power, Sky Bet. Paul, players to follow, and Henry or Duffy?
Henry, 7-2 top wicket taker, Paddy Power, Betfair. That's just wrong. It's just wrong. Got to go with that. You mentioned Abhishek, 7-2, 11-2 top match batsman as well. Paddy's, I think that's a good, decent bet. I'd go with the top match rather than the team. And for New Zealand, look, it's a real toss-up list for me because you've got Mitchell, 11-2, which in the form he's in has got to be a decent bet. That's got to be a good price. But then we've also got our old favourite, Glenn Phillips, banging form, 15-2, bet 365. So one of them, and in fact, given that I think New Zealand are value, I think Dutch in those two, Mitchell and Phillips, man of the match might pay.
Yes, indeed. Phillips come back to form with a ton. And we always like Phillips on this show. And if we were doing this show sort of 18 months ago, we'd be probably talking about a win rate around about sort of 24%, I think, if memory serves. But obviously he's been out of the team for such a long time through injury. We'd have been all over that 7-1 18 months ago. Guarantee it. Rich, Ravinder, great record in India. But you want to talk about Mitchell, I suspect. I mean, when did he get one with his name on, Richard?
Yeah, look, ODI, brilliant. I have to say though, and we've done this in the past as well, so I'm not alone, but wisdom. I don't think T20 is Mitchell's best format, ODIs and then Test cricket. I'd say this is his third best format, really. Phillips, on the other hand, this is his format. If he hadn't just made 100 back from injury, I would be saying let's have a watching brief, but I think you've got to bet Phillips. I mean, there was a time when he was actually batting 4, Mitchell was batting 5 in the T20 team, but I suspect Mitchell will bat ahead of him. But still, I think Phillips is the bet. He's brilliant. The other one I do want to mention, and now I have to say, brilliant ground guide as well, Ed. I was looking at AI earlier actually and seeing what that said about this ground, and the listeners can be rest assured it didn't give anywhere near the detail that you did about the grounds, Ed, and the toss bias. So we're ahead of AI at the moment. But if it's going to be low scoring like we think, Mitchell Santner at 25 for the Kiwis is always worth a look in this market. He won it against the West Indies. When was that last series? What, about 3 months ago? Just once in the series, he'll pop up, and if it's going to be low scoring up against a good side, he's got to be worth a second look, Santner.
There you go. What an endorsement. The cricket betting podcast, Smarter Than AI. Do get subbed up to that VIP Telegram channel and the free channel as well in the comments. Also, go and check out crickstats.ai. They are quite smart over there, actually. Incredible betting data that you can pull on through their filters for all formats of cricket. And we often use it to bring you some of the best value on those Telegram channels. So go and check that out. You can use the code POD25 to get a discount, I believe, with crickstats.ai. Really terrific service over there. And we're going to move on. We're going to talk Sri Lanka versus England. It's Thursday, 0900 at the RPS Colombo. Very few odds around I say very few. I haven't seen any apart from Betfair Exchange 2.22 Sri Lanka and England 1.6. I suspect England might drift a little bit. England lost 6 of the last 10. Sri Lanka have won 13 of their last 16 at home. That includes 2-0 wins over India, New Zealand, Australia in this format. Possible 11s: Sri Lanka, Nisanka Mishara, Kusal Mendis, Asalanka, Samara Wikarama, Leonage, Hasaranga, Walalaj, Theekshana, Asitha, and Madhusham, not Madhushanka. England: Salt, Duckett, Rootbrook, Bethel, Samkar, Joverton, Dawson or Rahan, Cass, Rashid, Luke, Wood. RPS, only 2 day games in the last 5 years. This is a day game. But last 12 months, 4 matches. These were under lights, so first inning scores 248, 244, 281, 214, all defended. And if you're thinking that's got something to do with the ball hooping around under lights, that wasn't the case because it was spin doing the damage. We'll come back to that. Rich, just talk about these teams, lineups, possible 11s if you think they're fair. What do you reckon about these two?
Well, no, I think you're right. I suspect they might go for Dawson over Rehan. I think Harry Brook likes him. But the thing that stood out to me actually just initially was England, obviously 2 left-handers in the middle order and Harry Brook, who's got some issues against spin. And do you remember Varane causing Harry Brook in that India series last year some big problems? I think Kana to me strikes me as a similar sort of bowler, and he'll bowl well at the left-handers, so could be trouble for England. We'll obviously go into more detail now, but yeah, that was the first thing that stood out to me there with no Butler.
Paul, a quick reminder that England aren't just dreadful at Test cricket.
I mean, absolutely. This is the reason why the best bets have been delayed a day because no one has priced this matchup. I can't believe Sri Lanka are the outsiders here. England are terrible at 50 over cricket. They have been proven repeatedly ever since they won the World Cup has been terrible at it. And look at never mind that. Never mind our inability to play spin on a ground which we know is going to spin, right? Look at Sri Lanka's record at home. They're so underrated, right? So I know you gave some numbers already, but I've got some more. So during the sample period, 5 years, they've won 29 out of 41 games at home. That's all oppositions, lots of good sides in there, lots of Indian, Australia, teams like that. Against England on this ground, they've won 9 out of 10. And at this ground during the study period, they've won 15 out of 22. So they are a great bet at odds against, a really great bet.
Yeah, I mean, Rich, talk about England being poor players of spin. I mean, it is trial by spin this game at the RPS, isn't it? I mean, they could bowl 50 overs of spin if they wanted to. Obviously, we're not going to say they are going to do that, but England is not a lazy cliche. I know historically you could be talking about England struggling against spin 10 years ago, 20 years ago, but it still remains a problem for them, doesn't it? And it's a clear route to victory for Sri Lanka.
It is, and we were talking about the ODI series against India ahead of the Champions Trophy, and we were on here saying they're just not getting any better against spin because remember the previous winter they played that Test series in Pakistan and been spun out, hadn't they, on those 2 pre-prepared pitches? And we were saying then England have made no progress against spin. The other thing you've got to factor in as well, this has not been at the top of any priority list, playing spin in Sri Lanka. England cricket has been gearing up for the Ashes on fast bouncy pitches. ODI cricket has been on the back burner. We saw that with that South Africa series straight after the 100. And never mind ODI cricket on the back burner, playing one-day cricket in spinning conditions it's not even been a thought. I think England will come into this maybe really undercooked for these conditions. I think Sri Lanka are a bet. I was going to stick them in the best bets, and I rarely put match bets up. I always look for the sides, but they stood out to me.
No, not England undercooked again. Surely not. Who's done the groundwork on where the best bars are in Colombia? I bet they've done that. Right. Paul, um, strategizing for that toss bias potentially, those low scores defended. I mean,
Well,
what about Sri Lanka batting first to get 240? I mean, you piling in to defend that?
all day long, all day long. I mean, the par anyway, day and night is only 250, right? It's that kind of ground. There's only think two 300 scores in 5 years there, so 240 would be a cracking score. But I mean, in terms of the toss, I want to bet Sri Lanka before the toss. I mean, even if England do bat first, I've got big doubts that they will get a competitive total, and I'm not convinced they'd necessarily defend one either. To be perfectly honest with you, we've got some fair spinners, but they're clearly inferior, aren't they, for these conditions? So I just say go in Sri Lanka now. Well, I think we're going to have to. Me and Rich are going to have a fight over best bets, or maybe we'll just save it and put it all in the VIP. I don't know.
There's good reason to sign up to VIP. Winners coming thick and fast at the moment over there. Rich, just a nugget for this game before I just take a look at one other strategy option.
Yeah, I'm really keen on this and interested what you guys think. Hopefully Sri Lanka, for an England point of view, do use pace up front with the new ball. But go back to the ODI series against India, and it was spin that killed England in that series. But England got off to some flying starts with the bat and then fell away. There was 75 for naught off after 8.5 overs in the first match, all out 248. I mean, the runs line must have been really high in that game. Then there were 101 102 for one after 15 overs, only got 304. And then in the third game, they were all out for 214, having been 80 for one after 8.4 overs. Again, the runs lines must have been really high there. But as soon as spin came on, pace went off. Salt obviously loves pace on the ball as well. Duckett the same. That's when it all changed. So I think particularly batting first as well. Hopefully England get off to some flying stars and then just keep saying it, but keep the collapse on side, England.
Okay, well,
Rich, so we
yeah.
are completely singing from the same hymn sheet, right? I mean, I'm getting very excited about this game, to be honest with you,
I
because
am actually now.
like I've bet a lot of games at this ground, and that has worked. Not just England, that's worked all teams. The amount of times that the power line starts at 260, 270, it goes up to 290, 300, and then you end up in the 220s, 230s. It's a great place for going unders in running, especially extreme unders, and England are just made for that.
Well, let's talk about that strategy I was alluding to earlier and fixing that to second innings. The second innings wickets to spin bowlers in those four games that I mentioned, which are all out scores. So 8 wickets, 7 wickets, 8 wickets, 7 wickets to spin bowlers. So that would fit snugly with an England strategy to collapse in the second innings, going after a target there on the match odds. Any other business in play, Rich or Paul?
Yeah, this is. Look, when I first heard about this series, because I must admit it crept up on me, I was thinking, oh, crikey, not another nondescript series. But I like Paul. I'm really, really excited for this. And on the exchange, Betfair Exchange, not only can you bet first innings runs in the bands, but you can do it in the second innings as well. So, say for instance, England were chasing 270 and they got to, I don't know, 80 for one off 10 overs, like we've just suggested. And you think, and the go odds on, you think, I'm going to bet Sri Lanka. But you can also bet the bands and think, you know what? I don't even think they're going to. Never mind 270, they might not get 250, they might not get 240 or even lower. We did it in the VIP last week actually for the Renegades chase against Perth's Yorkshires. We played under 150 and at one point they were 102 for, no, yeah, 82 for 6 and then a wicket off a no ball when they were 102 for 6. We would have probably copped there, but we did that at I think it was 2 to 7. We laid 150 there. It's a great way to bet if you think there's a big collapse second innings coming and they're not going to get close. Somewhere like Pal as well in the SA 20, it's been good for that as well. Not just winning, but winning handsomely. Chasing's tough, so keep an eye on that. And VIP wise, that might be something we have a think about.
Yeah, I think on VIP we're going to crash our heads together and come up with the easiest player to get and guaranteed nice winner on this game. Paul, anything on in play to add before I go to player win rates?
No, we've covered it, I think.
Yeah, we've covered it. I think we're very all excited by this game. It does feel like a plan is coming together. Player win rates, these are top rated for both teams with bat and ball. Last 2 years for Sri Lanka, because we just didn't have the study sample over the last 12 months. So these are nice and solid. Kusal, 35% top Sri Lanka bat. And here's this angle as well on that strategy that I just talked about, second innings wickets to spin bowlers as that pitch gets worn. Hasaranga, 31%. You still be able to bet with that sort of flutter firms for sure on top Sri Lanka bowler post-toss. For England, its last 12 months, Root is winning 33% of the time. Very, very good player of spin. Adil Rashid has 4 wins from 15. Overton has 3 wins from 8. Rashid may well get a nod. Probably be looking at Rashid 2 wickets or more, potentially 3 wickets or more for this one. Rich, players to follow or get against?
Yeah, I think Root's just solid. He's going to go off, 3-1, and he'll probably win once, won't he? And potentially twice. The other two that are just really interesting is see how Duckett goes. I mean, he's just had a horror run, hasn't he? And then Sol for another reason, because he's had a brilliant run. But I won't worry about him once the spin comes on, in particular, Sol. He could be another one for let him get to 30 against the seamers and then see. I agree with you about Rashid and those markets that you've highlighted, Ed, as well, for sort of 2 and 3 wickets. That they're great to play.
Paul?
Yeah, I'll go along with Rashid, absolutely. The one, though, again, waiting for odds, I want to see what Hasaranga performance is. Hasaranga in everything, in fact, top bowler. But look at his recent player performances at this ground: 58, 73, 102, 60, 27, 84, 94. You know, he's going to deliver, I think, on the overs. And again, on the 2 wickets or more, that's another option. So just look at all your Hasarangas. If he plays, I don't even know if he's in the squad. I don't think they've announced the squad properly yet. But Jeffrey Van der Sar is another one who's got a good record at this ground: 10 wickets in 3 games. And finally on the England batting, yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying about Root. That is a solid favourite, but I'd be more inclined to go down the order again. I mean, Jamie Overton's done some heroics in this, hasn't he? And if Dawson plays, Dawson could be a price. Look at him.
Yeah, Jamie Overton does have a win in the last 12 months on top bat. So Paul, right to identify that one. Does Jamie Overton make it in to your best bets? If you want to find out about those best bets, well, you can subscribe to the VIP and the free Telegram channels in the comments below. We're delaying them because we just don't have enough prices. But if you want to know, if you want about a special offer to bet some of those best bets, do so with 7Bet. We've got a promo code for you, WFB10, £10 free bet for you. First deposit is minimum £10 stake, minimum odds even money, maximum win is £100, 5-day expiry, bonus T's and C's apply. So best bets for the 3 games that we've covered: Hobart Hurricanes, Melbourne Stars, India versus New Zealand, and Sri Lanka versus England in the ODI. Expecting some really very strong bets indeed. Get subbed up to those channels, as I said, in the comments section below, and we will be back next time for you on the Cricket Betting Podcast to tell you exactly what happens in the biggest games around the world. We'll see you then.